All right, so let's start while others are joining. So let's start with this CCNA demo. In this demo, we are going to talk about course content and the study guide. Okay, and we will also talk about the topics what we are going to cover in this particular course. So before starting to the demo, I just want to know about each other. So I would start from Ajit. If you can just brief about you and why you just want to join this particular course. Ajit, Daljit, or Raj, anybody?
So good morning, sir. So my name is Ajit Kumar, sir.
Yes.
Actually, I'm having an years of experience in optical fiber engineering, sir.
Okay.
And I wanted to switch from the telecom to IT field. That's why I'm interested in joining this CCNA course. Thank you.
Thanks. Daljit.
I think they are responding over the chat.
Okay, not an issue. We can introduce later. Okay. Let me just go with this demo. So in this demo, we are, as I told, that we are going to talk about CCNA certification. Okay, its course content and how we will proceed for the training. That's what we are going to talk about in this demo. Okay, so if I talk about CCNA, so CCNA stands for Cisco Certified Network Associate. Okay, you can say this is a entry level of certification in Cisco network. Okay, or you can say in the networking, right? In this particular certification, we will cover following topics. One is network fundamental. Okay, the next one, we are going to talk about network access. Then we are going to talk about IP connectivity. Okay, and then we are going to discuss about IP service, security fundamental, and automation programming. So in network fundamental, we are going to talk about what is network. Okay, what are the different component of the network. Okay, and how it works, how the communication happen from one system to another system within the same LAN or within the different network. Okay, so we are going to talk about that. After this, we are going to talk about network access. And in network access, we are going to talk about VLAN, switches, wireless, okay, protocols. We are going to talk about all these things in network access. And then we will go for the IP connectivity, where we'll discuss about routing and its component. Okay, so in routing, we are going to discuss about IP version 4 and IP version 6 based routing. Okay, we are also going to talk about yeah, sure, we'll cover that automation part, Raj. No problem. So we are going to talk about routing in IP connectivity part. Okay, and in routing, we are going to talk about OSPF. Okay, we are going to talk about EIGRP. Basically, we are going to cover static and dynamic routing both over here, including BGP as well. Okay, and then we will go for the IP services. In IP services, we are going to talk about netting, NTP, DSCP parts. Okay, DNS, SNMP, syslog, etc. That we are going to talk about in IP services. Okay, so we will discuss practically all these things, and then we will go for the security fundamental. In security fundamental, we are going to discuss about VPN, layer 2 security, wireless security, okay, and interface security. All these things we are going to talk about in security fundamental. And finally, we will go for the automation. So basically, I would talk about automation. What is the automation? Okay, so in automation, basically, we are going to use the programming things, okay, programming or scripting things to configure our network devices. So if I talk about network devices, so we have switches and router. So we will use automation to configure that. The reason why we will use automation, okay, so if you see the in enterprise, there are multiple device, and if you want to configure those multiple device very quickly, okay, so it is not possible to do manually. Okay, let's say you have 50 device, on 50 device you just want to configure few things. Okay, so you have to go on each device, log in, and then run the command. What if there is any script that you can run, and using that script login on those device and make the changes? So it would be very easy job, right? So in automation we are going to talk about that, how we can automate day-to-day task. For example, any kind of password rotation. If you just want to do the password rotation, so you can do via automation task. Okay, if you want to do routing type of configuration, you can do via automation. Or if you want to do any basic configuration, you can do via automation. Okay, so in automation we are going to discuss that what the programming script supported by router and switches, and how you can run those programming script, how you can create by your own those programming script, so that you can configure those device very quickly. Okay, so we are going to talk about all these things. If you haven't idea about any scripting language, for example, you haven't idea about the Python or JSON or anything, so we will cover those things as well. Okay, here. So in automation, basically we are going to tell you that how you can use the programming script to configure all these devices. I mean, network device or any security kind of things. If you want to configure using automation script, you can do that. Yes, it would be practically and theoretically both we are going to cover here, right? So any questions so far regarding this? Anybody? All right, if there is no question, so I'm going to talk about the exam, CCNA exam. So this is the CCNA exam number. Basically in CCNA exam, you would be getting 120 minutes, okay, and around 750 to 1000 question you would be getting in your exam, right? And passing score of this exam is 70%. Okay, how you can crack this exam, we will talk later. Okay, but this is the CCNA certification exam. Once you get the certification, okay, or once you get knowledge of this particular course, so you can get the possible job. Okay, these are the possible jobs you can go for. You can go for the entry level network engineer, or you can go as a help desk technician, or network administrator, or network engineer, or network support technicians. Okay, there is no prerequisite to appear this course, but it's always recommended that you have, if 1 year experience, you can go with that. But if you don't have any experience that, then also you can appear to this particular course. Once you pass the exam, you would get the certification, and that certification would be active for the 3 years, right? So in this, to pass this exam, these are the topics we have. And in these topics, you can see that network fundamental, from network fundamental, you would be getting 20% of questions. From network access, you would be getting again 20% of questions. From IP connectivity, you would be getting 25% of the question. And from IP services, 10%, security fundamental, 15%. And from automation and programmability, you would be getting 10% of questions. Okay, so these are the exam topic. You can see that mostly you would be getting the question from the IP connectivity. Okay, so IP connectivity, as I told you, it is covering all the routing part. Okay, so in IP connectivity, there is a routing. Okay, and yeah, when IP services, we have NAT, we have DSCP, all these things we have. Okay, so if you are not aware about what is NAT, what is DSCP, don't worry, we are going to cover in this particular course. All right, let me just move to next. Okay, and here we are going to talk about what study material you can refer, okay, to learn this particular course or to understand this particular course. So basically there is a book which is official guide from Cisco, okay, and yeah, so this is official certification guide, okay. So you can refer to this book, you can refer to our our training, okay. So in our training, as you know, that we are going to provide you practical and theoretical knowledge, okay, and we are going to provide you a lab scenario, okay, that how you can perform a particular lab, okay. And we are also going to, I mean, with providing all these things, we are also going to provide you lab guide, okay, how you can perform your lab. And once you do all these things, definitely you would be eligible to pass the exam, right? So you can refer our training, as I told, you can refer to this particular book, okay, and you can do the practical as we will provide you lab guide accordingly, right? If I talk about all the course, what we are going to cover in this all the courses, so here we are going to talk about TCP/IP networking. What is TCP/IP? Okay, we are going to talk about Ethernet LAN. We are going to talk about WLAN and IP routing. We will talk about command line interface of the router and switches. We will talk about analyzing Ethernet LAN switching. So here we are going to talk about switching. Okay, how you can manage the switch, basic management of switch we are going to discuss over here, and we will going to discuss about that how you can configure the switches interfaces, okay, how you can create virtual LAN, okay, how you can use spanning tree protocol, okay, and how you can manipulate the spanning tree protocol architecture. We are going to talk about all those things. After that, we are going to talk about subnetting, okay. So IP version 4 subnetting we are going to talk about. We are going to talk about classless and classful subnetting over here, okay. And we will talk about how you can customize your subnet mask, etc. And then we are going to talk about how to analyze your existing subnets, okay, that what all the IP ranges would be in the existing subnets. We will talk about that. And then we are going to talk about how to operate routers, okay. So we are going to talk about here Cisco router, because this is from the Cisco only. So we are going to talk about that, how you can analyze operate the Cisco router, okay, how you can log in through command line, how you can enable GUI of your router, all those things we are going to talk about that, okay. Then we are going to talk about static routing. Fully practically we are going to cover this, okay. We are going to talk about static routing, we are going to talk about dynamic routing, where we are going to cover OSPF, EIGRP, etc. okay. And if there is any routing issue, then how we can solve that, all those things we are going to cover here. And then we are going to talk about OSPF network, okay. What are the OSPF network type, what are the OSPF neighbors, all those things we are going to talk about. Then we are also going to cover IP version 6 over here, okay. So what is the IP version 6? That is the next version of your IP, okay. So we are going to cover this IP version 6, including its subnetting, including its implementation on the routers, okay. And then we are going to talk about further about wireless network, okay. What is wireless network, what is WLAN, how you can configure it, how you can secure it, all those things we are going to talk about. And finally, at the end of the course, we are going to discuss about um, automation part, where we are going to talk about REST API and JSON. Okay. And then we are going to talk about these scripting things, Ansible and Puppets, Safex, etc. So this is overall your course topic, okay, that we are going to cover over here. Once you cover all these topics theoretically and practically, definitely you would have great knowledge about network and its configuration. Please let me know if you have any doubt about this or any question about this course content. Okay, if not, then let's move further. So I'm going to talk about other certification path, etc. So once you go for the CCNA, I mean, this is the CCNA is one of the associate level of the certification. Post the CCNA, if you want to go further, okay, let's say you pass your CCNA and you just want to further pursue into the Cisco network side, so you can go for CCNP, and post passing this CCNP, you can go for CCIE. So CCIE is a topmost certification. Okay. In Cisco world, we have different types of certification. We have in CCNA right now, the course content which I told you, that is about the routing and switching. This is about the routing and switching. Okay. So what we are going to cover over here, Cisco routers, we are going to cover over here. And we are going to cover Cisco switches. These devices we are going to cover in the routing and switching. If you want to go for other things, so in CCNA there are other track as well, CCNA security also. Okay, CCNA data center also, CCNA voice also. There are other certification as well. Okay, so here we are going to talk about CCNA routing and switching, where we are going to talk about how to configure routers, how to configure switches. Okay, in security, basically there would be firewall. Mostly there would be firewall. In data center, there is a data center switches. Switches, especially Nexus, etc. And in voice, basically we are going to talk about telephony part. Okay, but the thing we are going to cover here, we are going to cover routing and switching. So we will talk about routing and switching part only. Anybody knows what is routing? What is routing? Anybody knows? Okay, so if not, let me tell you what is routing and what is switching. So basically, if I talk about routing, what is routing? So you know that we have a network nowadays, right? When I talk about network, that the computer are interconnected, okay, and they used to communicate to each other, okay. Whether you just want to send a file, whether you just want to send a video, voice, or anything, okay. So let's say you have a network like this. There is a computer and there is another computer in a different location. Okay, we will talk about LAN, WAN, MAN, all these technology later. But let's say that these computers are connected via each other using a different path. Right. So let's say we have this is the path through which these computers are connected. Okay, so you can see that to go from here to here, there are different path. Okay, first path is it can use via this, or it can use this path, or it can use this path. Okay, maybe some of the link is faster and some of the link is slow. So let's say this link is around 10 Mbps. This overall link is 10 Mbps, and let's say this overall link is 20 Mbps. So when this is 20 Mbps link. So when this computer sends a file or any packet over here to this computer, from computer number 1 to computer number 2, you just want to send a packet. So how these path would be selected? Okay, how the best path would be selected? How it would know that the link of below path, this path is faster and the packet should send via this path only? Okay, so if I tell you that what is routing, so we can say that network routing is a process of selecting a path, access one or more network. Okay, the principle of routing can apply to any type of network. Okay, it can be telephone network or any kind of computer network. Okay, so routing is just routing is just a thing to select a best path to send a data packet. Okay, sorry. So if you are sending the packet over here, so your routing is going to decide that the packet would be going via which path. Okay, so always in computer network, when you are running a routing process, so it would be selecting a best path to send the data to the destination. Okay, if there is best path is not available, so it is going to choose second best path, or it is going to recalculate that what would be the best path to send the data. For example, if you are sending the packet via this way and due to any reason this router gets failed, so what would happen? Immediately the router is going to choose again another best path and going to send the data. So maybe the next best path would be this way. Okay, or next best path would be this way. That would be decided by the routing process. Okay, so we will talk about that how you can do the routing. Okay, how you can configure the routing. All these router we are going to configure. And if I talk about switching, so what is the switching? Basically, in switching, basically you are going to learn that, I mean, you are going to learn how to configure switches. So apart from router, we have switches as well. Okay, so switches basically works on LAN. Okay, local area network. So let's say we have switch over here, and it is connected in this way. From switch, there are some system connected, and there is another switch through which system is connected. Okay, so now let's say earlier what we are using, earlier we were using router to send the traffic from one network to another network. Let's say these system are in the same network. Okay, so this system, this system, or let's say in same network, but these system are the virtually segregated, which is known as a VLAN. Okay. So if you want to send the packet from here to here, let's say from system number 1 to system number 4, you just want to send the packet. Okay. So how it would be going? It is going to the switch, and then switch is going to send it to this link, and then it is going to send to system number 4. So basically here what is happening here, your data is being channelized. Okay, data is being sent. So we can say that network switching is a process of channelizing data received from any number of input port to another destination port. So you can say that when you are sending the data, okay, from here to this particular port, so this port switch is going to open a channel, communication channel, from this port to this port, and then again this port is receiving, and then it is destination it is sending to this destination. So that's what switching is. Okay, we have two type of switching: packet switching and circuit switching. And circuit switching, for data we are going to use this. Okay, and for telephone network we are going to use, we are using circuit switching. Okay, so in computer network, okay, we will use packet switching, and especially for telephone network, basically PSTN network, we are going to use circuit switching. So don't worry if you don't know all these terms. Okay, we are going to cover all these things when we go with with the course. Okay, then we are going to cover all these things in detail. So I'm going to show you some demo over here. We are going to use multiple tools to perform our lab. So number one, we are going to use Cisco packet. We will use Cisco packet tracer. The reason is here I would be able to show you concept in better way. Okay, and the other thing, we are going to use our lab. Okay, over here you are going to get the real image of the switches and router. Okay, real image means this is the simulation. Packet tracer is a simulator, but here you are going to get real image iOS or switches iOS or your router iOS images you are going to get over here, and you would be able to perform practical at a real devices. Okay, so we will use our lab. Here we have different types of lab. You can access the lab by clicking on access your lab over here. Okay, so you would be able to access this, and we will also use Cisco packet tracer so that I would be able to show you practically. So if I tell you that what all the practical we are going to do, so let me just talk about that. Let's say we are going to use a switch over here and send the data between two PC, this PC and there are another PC, and both PC are connected in the same network. So we can connect in this way in the packet tracer. Okay, and we can assign the IP as well. So let me just assign some IP. And let's assign the IP over here. If you don't know about the IP, don't worry, we will tell you. And now I can start sending the packet from here to here. So you can see that I can take the packet from here and I can send it. Okay, you can see the status over here. It's a successful. But why I love this tool, because you would be able to understand the fundamental very well. Okay, so let me show you that these tools. So this is the simulation mode. If I go over here, take the packet, and put over here and run the simulation, you can see here how packet is moving through. It is going to switch and switch is sending to another system. Okay. Now it is going to send the acknowledge as well. Okay. The packet has been gone and you can say that this is successful. Now, if at any layer, if you want to analyze this, that's how it sent the packet. So you can just click over here and you can see here on the OSI model where it is working. Okay, this is the layer 3 information, this is the layer 2 information, and this is the layer 1 information that you can get. So this tool is very good in terms of learning the concept if you are beginner. Okay, so this tool is very good. Okay, you can see that on layer 3, what is the layer 3? Basically this is a network layer. Okay, in Cisco OSI model, you know that we have 7 layer: application layer, okay, which is layer number 7. Then we have presentation layer, then we have session layer, transport layer, network layer, data link layer, and physical layer. So your IP is working on which layer? It is working on layer 3, that you can see over here. This is layer 3, which is working on a network layer. Here you can see source IP and destination IP, right? Then your MAC address working on which layer? It is working on layer 2. Here you can see source MAC address and destination MAC address. Source MAC address is for this PC. Destination MAC address is for the destination PC. So that all you can see over here. So I love this tool very much. The reason is I'm able to tell you all the concept regarding the switching and routing. I have taken switch right now, but I can take the router as well. For example, let me just take a router. And I would try to send the network packet from one network to another network. So let me just take a router. Okay, now I have 2 network and let's connect to both network. Let me change the IP. Okay, we have to enable this. We have to enable this router. Okay, and I mean we need to configure this router so that this router would be able to do the routing. So let me just configure this. Okay, so we will run some command. Okay, so let's go to CLI mode and let's run some command to configure this. First we are going to configure router interfaces. We will talk about all these mode. Okay, if you are not aware, so I would talk about later all these modes. Okay, let me just configure the router interface gig 0/0. Put the IP over here. This side we have 192.168.1.0 network on gig 0 slice side, so we are going to put same network IP over here. And now I would configure gig 0/1. Okay, when you are putting the router, if you want to send the traffic from one network to another network, you have to define the gateway. The gateway is what? You have to define that what would be your next hop who is going to forward that traffic to another network. Okay, so in my case, if I talk about in this network, so what I have assigned IP over here, let me tell you. For this interface of router, we have assigned 192.168.1.254 working 0/0. And for this one, we have defined 192.168.2.25. So on this PC, because I just want to send the traffic from this network to this network. Okay. If I talk about this network, so on this side we have to we have configure 192.168.1.0/24. So this is one of the network and this is another of the network 192.168.2.0/24. So we have two network, and if I just want to send the traffic from one network to another network, so definitely we have to define the default gateway. So for this PC, my default gateway would be my router IP, this interface IP of router, and for these PC, the default gateway would be this IP. Okay, so we have to define default gateway. If we are not going to define default gateway, we will not be able to send any traffic. So if you see over here, I take the packet and I'm trying to send from here to here. See what is happening? Traffic is getting failed. The reason is right now default gateway is not defined. So we have to define default gateway. So let's define default gateway over here. (192.168.1.254). That's the default gateway. Same default gateway we have to define over here as well, because it's common for everyone. And let's say one side we have defined, but other side we haven't defined, then still my packet would not go. I can show you. One side I have defined, but another side not. My packet is not going from any of the PC. So we have to define both sides as well. So on this PC, I'm just going to define default gateway. (192.168.2.254). Now I have defined default gateway. Now what would happen? I should be able to send some packet. Let's see if I'm able to send. So I'm trying to send, just a moment. Let's take a packet and try to send. You can see successful right now. From here, successful. First packet always gets failed. Let's say second packet, it's successful. It's going over here. So now all the communication is happening smoothly. And if you see the simulation mode, this is the simulation mode. So you can try to put the packet and send it and try to see this. How it is going? First, it is going to the switch. Switch is sending to the router. And the router would be sending to another switch. And then this switch would be sending that packet to this system. So packet went, it has received, but it is also going to send the acknowledge. So this is acknowledge, it is going to send back to the same system. And once acknowledge gets completed, then it is your packet is successful. So you can see it's successful right now. So this is how your routing and switching works. Okay, in this simple demo, I have taken the simple example. I hope I haven't gone so advanced. Okay, and hope it was very understandable for you. So don't worry, we are going to, I mean, once you join this particular course, we are going to cover all these topics in detail, okay? And if you face any challenges over the lab, oh, okay, so we are going to help you with the lab guide, okay? And you would also get recorded video, okay? All these session gets recorded and those would be uploaded into the portal where you can access it. Okay, any particular question about the course or anything? Anybody? All right, if there is no question, that's all about the demo. I would like to stop over here.